My wife slept with my twin brother and claimed she didn't realize because she had too much to drink. But at the rehabilitation center, she will have plenty of time to think about her divorce. I don't even know how to start this because everything in my life is falling apart, and this is my way of letting out my feelings. I am 32 years old and have been married to my wife, Talia, 31 years old, for 5 years. It hasn't always been perfect, but I thought we were happy. We have faced great problems and our biggest flaws as a couple, like any marriage. We were fine, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened. It happened last weekend. My twin brother, Ron, has always been around. We are identical twins, and if you saw us, you probably wouldn't notice much difference. Although we have never been the inseparable type of twins, we have maintained a close relationship. We saw each other regularly at family gatherings or on casual outings. I never thought there was anything strange in his relationship with Talia. She was always nice to him, maybe even friendly, but nothing to raise alarms. It all started at a party we organized at our house. We had been planning for weeks, inviting friends, decorating, and organizing the food and drinks. I assumed it was supposed to be a night to relax, catch up with friends, and have fun. I guess I had too much fun. The night started out great. People were talking, the music was loud, and the drinks were flowing. I don't usually drink much, but that night everyone was offering me drinks, and I didn't want to be the party pooper. At some point, I lost count of how much I had drunk. The last thing I remember is sitting on the couch in the living room, feeling the alcohol hit me all at once. That's my last clear memory. The next morning, I woke up with a terrible headache and that nausea that comes with too much alcohol. I was still on the couch, half covered with a blanket that someone must have put on me during the night. The house was strangely quiet, except for the sound of my wife moving around in the kitchen. When I got up, staggering slightly, I noticed her posture was strange. Her shoulders were tense, and she didn't even look me in the eyes when I greeted her. At first, I thought maybe she was hungover too, but the atmosphere was weird. I asked her how the party went after I fell asleep, trying to see if something unusual had happened. She shrugged and muttered that it was okay before quickly changing the subject. I let it go for the moment, thinking maybe she was just tired. The rest of the day was strange. She kept busy, fussing around the house, and avoiding any real conversation with me. When I tried to help her with the cleaning, she pushed me away, saying that she had it under control. By the afternoon, her behavior seemed more anxious and stressed. This type of attitude is not normal for her. Finally, I decided to confront her. We were in the living room, and I asked her directly if something was wrong. Her face turned pale, and she began nervously playing with her sweater. That's when she dropped the bomb. She said she had to tell me something. I didn't have much time to process her words before she told me that she had slept with someone at the party. My mind went blank for a moment. I asked her who it was since I needed to know. When she said Ron's name, I thought I was going to pass out. By that time, she was crying, saying it was a mistake and that it wasn't her intention. She claimed she was drunk and thought it was me. That explanation didn't convince me. We may be twins, but we are not identical in everything. Our voices are different, our gestures are different, and she's been with me for years. How could she not realize? I didn't even know what to say to her at that moment. I just looked at her, trying to make sense of what she was saying. She kept asking for forgiveness, saying she didn't know how it had happened and that she hated herself for it. But nothing she could say was going to change things. How could it have been an accident? I spent the rest of the night on the couch, unable to sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, the only thing I could imagine was my wife and Ron together. It was too much to process. The next morning, I knew I couldn't let this go. I needed to talk to Ron. I needed to hear his side of the story. I couldn't imagine how this just happened. I was convinced it was no accident. When I called him, he sounded completely normal, as if nothing had happened. That only made me angrier. I told him I was going to his house, and he responded with a casual sure, as if it were any other day. When I arrived, I didn't even sit down. I asked him directly what had happened. His response made me even angrier. He said they were both drunk, that they weren't thinking clearly, and that it just happened, as if it wasn't a big deal. He didn't even seem sorry. Hearing him talk so casually made me want to punch his face in. But I was able to contain myself since I didn't want to be the one who went to jail for an accident. After leaving Ron's house, I drove aimlessly, trying to make sense of it all. How can you make sense of something like that? Talia's betrayal was one thing, but Ron's? That was brutal. We grew up together. We shared everything as children. And even though we fought, I always thought there was a line that neither of us would ever cross. Now I was sure that line didn't exist for him. When I finally got home, I felt exhausted, both physically and emotionally. Talia was waiting for me, sitting on the edge of the couch. She looked like she had been crying. Her face was pale and swollen. I didn't want to hear any more excuses, but I knew we couldn't avoid each other. The conversation needed to happen. I needed answers. Even though I was torn apart, I asked her to tell me everything, starting with the party. I was hoping she would tell me something that would explain things better. But what I got was more confusion. She kept up the story that it was a mistake while she was drunk and thought Ron was me. The more she spoke, the angrier I became. Her words didn't match what I already knew, and I could see she was struggling to keep her story coherent. She claimed she didn't realize it wasn't me until it was too late, but that just didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. I kept pressing her, asking how she could make a mistake like that. She got defensive, saying it was dark, that she was drunk, and that she wasn't thinking clearly. Even with all those excuses, it didn't add up. It wasn't a stranger she mistook for me. It was my twin brother, someone she had been interacting with for years. I asked her how it all started, and her answer turned my stomach. She said that Ron had been standing near her during the party, talking to her while I was on the couch. She claimed that at first it was something innocent, just chatting, but then things escalated. She didn't explain how or why, just that it just happened. The more she told me, the more it all seemed like a lie, as if she was hiding something from me. At that point, I couldn't listen to her any longer. I got up and locked myself in the bathroom to try to clear my head. The idea of the two of them together made me feel like I couldn't take it anymore. I kept imagining the party, visualizing how they snuck away while I was unconscious downstairs, not knowing what was happening. It was humiliating, as if the life I thought I had was a joke and everyone but me was aware of it. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I kept replaying everything in my head, trying to make sense of it. My thoughts were spinning at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Earlier, I had spoken with a close friend of ours, Claire, and she mentioned how she had seen Ron and Talia looking very close at the party. Was it really a one-time mistake? Or was there something going on before? I didn't know what to believe anymore. The next day, I decided to call Claire. I needed more information, and I trusted she would tell me the truth. She didn't hold back. She said that Ron and Talia had been sitting together almost all night, laughing and whispering to each other. When I confronted Talia with this, she froze and paused for a moment. For a second, I thought she was going to deny it, but instead, she started crying again, saying she didn't want to lose me and begging me to forgive her. She kept insisting it was just a mistake, that she wasn't thinking clearly. But I didn't believe her anymore. It was obvious she was lying to protect herself. I asked her directly if something had happened with Ron before the party. She swore there hadn't been, but the way she avoided eye contact and hesitated in her voice told me everything. She wasn't being honest with me, and I couldn't take it anymore. I told her I needed space, left the house, and called my parents. I told them I needed to talk. When I arrived at their house, I sat them down and explained everything to them, how Talia had confessed to sleeping with Ron, how she tried to blame it on the alcohol, and how I suspected this wasn't the first incident between them. They were shocked, to say the least. My mom started crying, and my dad looked furious. My mom kept asking if I was sure, if maybe it was all a misunderstanding, but there was no doubt about it. I told them I wasn't looking for excuses, I just wanted them to know what kind of person Ron really was. My dad said he wanted to talk to Ron himself, but I told him it wasn't worth it. I was already fed up with both of them. Back at home, Talia tried to talk to me again, but I couldn't even look at her. I told her I needed time to think, but the truth was I already knew what I had to do. Our marriage is over. There is no turning back. After something like this, the trust is broken, and without trust, there is nothing left to save. Now, I just have to see how this all plays out, but I needed to get it out of my system and talk to someone about it. That's why I'm here, telling my story. Update 1. I knew I had to face Ron again. The first conversation had been superficial, and now that I had had time to reflect, I realized there were too many gaps in his version of events. The way he dismissed it, as if it weren't a big deal, didn't sit right with me. It was not only disrespectful, but almost a mockery. I needed to confront him properly, not only for clarity, but to release the rage that was consuming me since this nightmare began. When I went to his apartment, I was ready to fight, but his attitude took me by surprise. He looked tired, as if he hadn't slept in days. It was the first time I saw any sign of guilt in him. However, I didn't let that soften me. I needed answers, and I wasn't leaving without getting them. I demanded to know what had really happened at the party. This time, he wasn't as indifferent as before, but his explanation was just as frustrating. He admitted that Talia had made the first move, but claimed he hadn't thought it through at the time. The casual way he described what they did felt like an extra layer of disrespect on top of what they had already done. It was as if he didn't realize, or didn't care, how much damage he had caused. What really broke me was when he said this wasn't the first time Talia had been overly friendly with him. He described a handful of instances over the years where she had tried to flirt with him. He claimed to have dismissed it as harmless and insisted that he had never acted on it before. But the fact that he never mentioned it to me made me see it differently. I know that if Ron's hypothetical wife had made a pass at me, I would have immediately told him. If he had told me back then, I could have confronted Talia, and maybe none of this would have happened. Hearing all of this made something very clear. This was not an isolated mistake. There was history here, even if they didn't fully admit it. I left Ron's apartment without saying much. There was nothing left to talk about. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't going to get the clarity I wanted. Neither of them was willing to be completely honest, and that said a lot. When I got home, Talia was waiting for me. She had been quiet the last few days, giving me space, but now she wanted to talk. Her tone was different this time, less defensive, more desperate. She began to repeat her story, emphasizing how drunk she was and how terrible it all was a mistake. I listened, not because I believed her, but because I wanted to see how far she would go to twist the story. She clung to her claim that she thought Ron was me, saying she wasn't in her right mind and didn't realize what was going on until it was too late. She even tried to present herself as the vulnerable one, saying she felt neglected by me and that the alcohol made her act that way. Hearing her blame me for what happened was the final nail in the coffin. I had worked so hard to keep us comfortable, taking extra shifts at work, and now she was using that against me. Her excuses didn't sound like remorse. They sounded like manipulation. I told her my mind was made up. There was nothing left to save in our marriage, not after this. She begged me to reconsider, saying she didn't want to throw away everything we had built together, but I couldn't even look at her. It was like seeing a stranger who was just living in my house. I've already started looking for a lawyer. There's no other way to move forward. At least we don't have children to complicate the divorce. After everything that happened, I knew I couldn't handle seeing others at the next family meeting. I decided to rip off the Band-Aid and tell the truth. The reactions were mixed. Most of the family was horrified and took my side immediately, but some tried to downplay it, saying maybe Ron just made a mistake and that I should try to forgive him. Forgive him? It felt like they thought Ron had come to my house one day and eaten the leftovers I was planning to have for dinner, not that he had slept with my wife. Ron was there and didn't even try to defend himself. He stayed silent, avoiding eye contact with everyone. When someone asked if it was true, he just nodded. His silence said it all. Talia wasn't present, but even if she had been, I doubt it would have changed anything. After all, my parents told me they had decided to cut ties with Ron for now. They said they needed time to process everything, but that they couldn't support him after what he had done. It was a small consolation to know they were on my side, but that doesn't mean going through something like this isn't painful. I don't think there's a worse betrayal than this. I'm still trying to pick up the pieces of my life. Some days are better than others, but it's not easy. It's hard to describe if you haven't lived it. It's like being numb. That's what happens when the two people closest to you turn out to be the ones who hurt you the most. I've started working on my anger and sadness. It's not something that gets resolved overnight, but it's helping me make sense of everything. On the positive side, reading supportive comments has helped me see that something better is waiting for me. I will update when I can. Update 2. I was hoping that getting it all out in the open would give me some sort of closure, but it didn't. Instead, it just highlighted how broken my life and family were. My parents cutting ties with Ron gave me some calm, but it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be. I don't know what I was really expecting with all that. My parents seemed more devastated than angry. They kept repeating things like they needed time to process and decide how to handle it. That hurt me because I felt like they were leaving the door open to forgive him, even after what he did. Some of my extended family members also started contacting me, offering support but hinting at the idea of forgiveness. I don't care that Ron is my twin. What he did is not something I can simply get over. The idea of forgiving him is impossible for me. Here I am, with thoughts of ripping his head off his body in one movement, and people are suggesting that I could forgive him. Don't worry, I'm calm, and I'm not going to do anything. I don't want to end up in jail because of two people who aren't even worth the space they occupy. On the other hand, Talia has been relentless. Even though I've told her several times that our marriage is over, she continues to call me, send me messages, and show up at the house. Yes, I have asked her to move out. She oscillates between apologizing profusely and accusing me of giving up too easily. Sure, I gave up on our marriage too easily. Then she gave in too easily to the thing she called my brother. I told her we were over. She cried, begged, and tried to make me feel guilty by talking about the good times we shared. But none of that moved me. All I could think about was the party, her lies, and how she tried to blame me. She even tried to manipulate me, saying it was all Ron's fault, not hers, and that she was helpless because she was so drunk. She even added that I knew what she was like when she was drunk. Pathetic excuses and lies. Drinking doesn't give her the green light to have sex with a specimen that looks like me. I drank, and I didn't sleep with anyone, much less someone close to her. Her story kept changing, and she did whatever she could to try to convince me to come back to our relationship. It didn't work, of course. I was too numb and exhausted to believe any of the stories. But then she stopped even lower. She started trying to make me believe that Ron had assaulted her. From the start, I knew that wasn't true. After she threw all this crap at me, I just laughed at her. That conversation was the straw that broke the camel's back. I blocked her number after that. I felt like it was the only way to have some peace. I've already started the divorce process, and my lawyer told me that without children, it should be pretty simple. Thanks to everyone who has listened to me and offered advice. I'm getting divorced and having 2 cancers removed from my life, so I think things will be better from here on out. Update 3. Well, it seems some of you wanted an update on how I am handling the situation. The divorce has been finalized and ended with an equal division, half for each of us. There is no fault-based divorce in my state, but at least I haven't had to pay spousal support. I still feel sad, but not for losing her. I feel sad because I have lost 5 years of my life for nothing. The worst part is that she showed remorse, but I can't be with someone who did something like that, even when she was drunk. She was the one who took the initiative with my brother. This kind of thing is something I will never understand. My own brother, of all people. If it had been with anyone else, like a neighbor, we would have divorced anyway. But with my twin brother? It's even more twisted. At least, as some comments have pointed out, they both helped me get over it. 2 horrible people in my life. On one hand, my ex-wife showed me how it was with my brother, and on the other hand, my brother showed me what my ex-wife was like. Maybe I should thank them. Just when I thought I was moving forward, Ron decided to contact me. He sent me a message saying he wanted to talk and clear things up. I didn't respond, and I blocked him. There's nothing he can say that will fix what he did, and I have no interest in hearing any more excuses. A few days later, I got a call from my mother. She told me that Ron had asked her to mediate a conversation between us. She said he seemed genuinely sorry and wanted to apologize properly. I told her I wasn't interested. She didn't insist, but something tells me she's hoping I'll change my mind. That isn't going to happen. The problem is, an apology means nothing to me at this point. Saying I'm sorry doesn't undo the fact that he slept with my wife. It doesn't erase the pain he caused. It will only help him get rid of his guilty conscience. So no, I'm not going to give him that satisfaction. In the weeks following the chaos, I began to lean on my friends more than ever. I was always the type to handle things alone, but this situation was too heavy to carry by myself. Thankfully, I also have to thank you for the support. Some close friends showed up in ways I never expected. They have been very important to me throughout this time. One friend in particular helped me see the value of therapy. At first, I resisted. I thought that talking to a therapist wouldn't help at all. But I was wrong. After a few sessions, I realized how much I needed it. Therapy sessions have been a lifesaver. They have given me tools I didn't even know existed. It's not a quick fix, but it's a step in the right direction if you use them, of course. Looking back, it's hard to believe how quickly everything fell apart. One party, one night, and everything I thought I knew about my life crumbled. I'm still in the early stages of rebuilding, but I know one thing for sure. I won't let this define me. I'm not going to let that pair of idiots define my life from now on. They've stolen too much from me to also steal my mind and my peace. I've basically wasted 5 years of my life. I wish I could go back and do things differently, but since that's not possible, I am focusing on moving forward and on the things that I can control. Since many of you shared your wisdom with me, let me offer you some advice. Pay attention to your siblings, your friends, and be mindful of who you let into your life. When it comes to choosing a partner, choose someone who is truly trustworthy, not someone who blames alcohol for the stupid things they do. Update 4. My brother just can't let go of the subject and move on with his life. I had to keep pushing back. A couple of weeks ago, my mother and my brother showed up at my house. They couldn't leave me alone. They needed me to listen to them. I opened the door to tell them to leave, and I took out my phone to record. I didn't want them to make up any nonsense. My mother begged me to listen to her, but I said no. Then my brother put a hand on my shoulder, and that was his first mistake. He told me he just wanted to talk to me, that it wasn't a big deal. I told him to take his hand off me, so I wouldn't have a legal reason to do something to him. My mother kept insisting that I listen to him, and I told her to shut up because I was fed up with her meddling in my life, especially to be on his side. My brother told me to calm down, because we were family. He also asked me to stop recording, arguing that they just wanted to talk. His second mistake was trying to snatch the phone from me. That caused me to punch him in the stomach with my free hand. I had been wanting to do this for a long time, but I didn't have a reason that would legally justify it. Now the fool had given it to me. His third mistake was trying to hit me, though without much success because he was short of breath. That gave me the chance to hit him square in the face. After that, he had a hard time getting up. I told my mother, who was crying by then, to take him away. A few days went by, and the police came to see me because my brother had filed a complaint. Thankfully, it was enough to show them the video and give them a copy, so I wouldn't have any problems. At least, they told me that with the video, it would probably be enough since he tried to take my phone first, in addition to trying to physically attack me while I was simply defending my private property. I don't know if it's true, or if he just said it to make me look guilty, but the police said it looked like he had a broken rib and a broken nose. I do recall hitting him in the stomach, but if it had been in the rib, it probably wasn't a legal blow. As for the nose, yes, I believe that because I hit his cheekbone and his nose from the side, which left him stunned. The good thing about all this is that my mother hasn't tried to come back or contact me. I'm not in the mood for her nonsense. Maybe the fact that my father told her to stop trying has helped. At least my father is the only one who has truly cut off the relationship with Ron. Regarding my ex-wife, I haven't heard from her, and I hope it stays that way. I wouldn't want her to try anything either. Update 5. I don't know if you remember my story, but for those who don't or are unfamiliar, you can read my posts on my profile. I don't want to retell it or bore you with the same thing again. This time, I'm writing to share that my ex-wife is in a rehabilitation center. I don't even want to imagine how many people she might have slept with, all because of alcohol, or so she claimed as her pathetic excuse to justify sleeping with my twin brother. I haven't heard from my mother in months. The only member of my close family I talk to and sometimes see is my father. He is the only one who didn't try to minimize what my brother did. He's even told me that he won't leave anything to Ron in his will, neither his house nor the remaining money. Not that my father has much, but I appreciate the gesture on his part. I always joke that Ron saved me from a wife who, sooner or later, would have been unfaithful to me, always using alcohol as an excuse. Something funny that has happened to me occasionally is being insulted by people who mistake me for Ron. Once I speak to them, they realize their error, apologize, and assure me that when they see him, they'll insult him twice as much to make up for it. I always tell them that the easiest way to recognize us now is by looking at his nose, which is slightly crooked, according to what my father has learned through my mother. What do you think about this story? Have you ever experienced something similar, or do you know someone who has? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories.